All right. Today we have Mr. Victor Cerrone, joined by Keenan McAfee from the Carpenters Apprenticeship Program. And if you don't mind, I would like for you both to actually talk about what's going on with the apprenticeship program and what are you guys doing post COVID.
Okay, Victor, you start.
Yes. So right now, we just got back to our classes the beginning of May. We were shut down for about a month and a half, beginning of March, since this whole fiasco started. But we got back. We got apprentices back to school, and we're doing the whole mask. We're wearing masks. We're taking temperatures when the students come in every single day, and we got a questionnaire every Monday to make sure that nobody enters if they've been around somebody that was exposed to COVID. Um, and the same thing is going on in Chicago. We got the Chicago school open, and we're going to start our pre-apprenticeship here in a couple of weeks. There was an pre-apprentice class that just started this week, and we had to edit our rules for the school that pertains to COVID, as far as wearing the masks and things like that.
So we are also, let me jump in, we're also social distancing. So we are limiting the number of people in our classes. We generally would have, for pre-COVID, 16, 18 people in the class. We are pretty much getting to limit our classes to 10 people so that we can maintain social distance in the classrooms and in the shop. Obviously, with the apprentice program, most of our instruction is hands-on, so we are unable to go to remote learning or anything close to that. So we are getting our apprentices in, but we're limiting classes, enforcing a 100% mask rule, and doing social distancing.
Okay, quick question. So after this cohort, when is your next class?
So we have two things. We have the apprentice classes that run all year long. All of our apprentices work for 3 months and then attend class for a week. You're asking about our pre-apprentice program?
I'm asking about both actually, because in particular, there's actually one person on this line right now who I had the pleasure of speaking with this morning, Miss Herman, um, who went through a flag situation. She could tell you about that offline, doing a flagger program with a nonprofit organization, and I told her to definitely look out for you guys. And I'm glad Shelly you're on the line as well. Um, but whether it's pre-apprenticeship or just the apprenticeship program, I think one or the other might be beneficial to her.
So
Uh,
your members would come through our pre-apprentice. They would start with our pre-apprentice program when we're accepting applications, and then they would automatically, once they make it through the pre-apprenticeship, join our apprentice program.
Well,
Victor,
even
you want to
better.
talk about the pre-apprenticeship?
Yeah, let's talk about that.
uh, a pre-apprenticeship class is 9 weeks long, from 8 o'clock in the morning to 4 o'clock in the afternoon. And they have homework every single day, just about. And they have classroom time for a couple hours a day, a lot of hands-on, and just about 8 to 9 safety classes like OSHA, scaffolding, things like that, fall protection. Um, and we have them start from scratch. We have them start from the fundamentals of how to wear their tool belt and how to work with their tools, how to carry material. We actually have exercise routine every single day because we have to get them in shape to go out in the field and start working. So we got the material handling also, because as a first year apprentice, maybe going on to the second year apprentice, most likely you're going to get a lot of material for the journeyman, for the people that are putting the construction together. So we have to get them in shape, physically, and also we have to prepare them mentally. That's where our in the classroom studies come into play. We teach them how to read a tape, swing a hammer from scratch. So that means that I can have a kid straight out of high school that's maybe 18, 19 years old, or somebody that might be in their 40s with a little bit of experience. But we still have to take it from the beginning, because some people just don't know. They've never held a tape before, or even a hammer. So after the 9 weeks, we get them out as a first-year apprentice. We get them some work leads. They join the local, and they go out as a first-year apprentice. They work for 3 months, come back to school for a week, and the same thing, go out for 3 months and come back for a week of class. And they have to have a certain amount of hours to advance from first to second, and second to third, and so on.
So we would like to talk about the advantages and disadvantages of our model for people who come into the apprenticeship program. And when I say our model, I mean the carpenters versus the electricians, the plumbers, and other trades.
Please go ahead.
Okay. So one of those things is in many trades, you must have an intent to hire letter in order to get into the apprenticeship program, meaning a company has to supply you with a letter saying that they'll hire you, and then you can advance. With us, that's not required. You do need a referral, but you can get a referral letter from a carpenter local or from one of our community organizations that we partner with when we're accepting applications. So there's an advantage in not having to have a job first. The disadvantage means that that process can be a lengthy process. For one thing, right now, we're not accepting applications. We have a backlog of people from when we shut down before, pre-COVID. So we have a backlog of people waiting to start that pre-apprenticeship program. And not only that, because we're limiting the class size, it could take us a little while to get through the people who are waiting to join our pre-apprentice program right now. But once we start getting low on that list and we're running people through, and I'm sorry, you did ask that, our classes run for 9 weeks straight. There's 1 week in between, and then we start another 9-week class. So we run them continuously. We have 2 classes, general construction classes, that run in Chicago at the same time, and we have 1 concrete form builder class that runs in Elk Grove. But we run them continuously once we get them started. 9 weeks of training, 1 week in between, and then another 9 weeks of training. So back to those disadvantages. The other disadvantage is that 9-week pre-apprenticeship is unpaid training, meaning they don't get money for that. They get a slight stipend just to help with the transportation costs. It is $37.50. Wait, what is it? It's $35 for the first 3 weeks and $60 for the remaining 6 weeks, just to help with, again, lunch and transportation costs. It's only after that they're eligible to go out to work and start making money. When they come to the apprentice program 1 week every 3 quarters, they will then get paid a little bit more for their class time. So the entire apprenticeship, like almost all of them, are tuition free, but those first 9 weeks are unpaid training.
So just for the sake of asking the question, about how long do you think it'll take before you can actually accept new applicants for your pre-apprenticeship?
It's going to depend on how many people are on the list now. I can take a guess and say it'll be late spring of next year or maybe summertime.
That's actually not bad. Even as a guess, that's not bad. Yeah, that's still not bad.
No, I know it's not bad. We have to get people in line for it. So maybe that's what you're trying to do, get people in line for that.
Yeah, in a lot of ways, absolutely. Simply because, can they still put in an application to be put on a waiting list?
So no, that process, we must be accepting applications. The waiting list that they could get on now is the waiting list at a local. So when they call a local and get on the waiting list there, we notify the locals when we're accepting applications, and they start calling people on their list. Our locals are divided up by territorial jurisdiction. Really, it's by county. So we have 5 counties in five locals in Cook County, and whichever local they live closest to, they would contact that local and get on the list for a referral letter. When we contact the locals, say next summer that we are accepting applications, they will then start calling people on their list, and then they will go by and get a referral letter from the local, and they can come in and file an application.
So actually, I'm glad that you said all of that. And Shelly, I know that you come on this line to actually learn more about what's going on as far as the unions are concerned. But can you actually elaborate on what you do?
Yeah, my name is Shelly Williams. I'm the business account executive, and for all intents and purposes, I'm a job developer. Our organization has been around 40 years. The department that I work with specifically, we work in those areas, solar installation, carpentry, or I should say environmental careers, and the like. So it's my job to segue our graduates when they do graduate for earning 11 industry recognized certifications to full-time employment. We do have a lot of our constituents that want to get into the building trades. So my reason for being on this call is to learn more about, the building trades, how I can advise our clientele to get into the trades. And so I want to apologize too for being late on this call. I did hear about the pre-apprenticeship program. I think it was Miss Herman. So yeah, so that's my aim here, is to learn as much as I can about the unions, the trades, and then bring that information back to my organization.
So, Victor, do you want to talk about what makes a really good candidate? Because a lot of people want to get into the trades, but there are certain things that will make a person successful once they get into, and we can talk specifically about the carpenters, but a lot of these things that Victor's going to talk about are really for construction in general. So other trades, including the plumbers, the electricians, pipe fitters, etc. Victor?
Yeah. So just imagine a day like today, that's almost 100 degrees with humidity, and the kid goes out there not knowing, how to dress, not knowing, to stay hydrated, what kind of liquids he should be drinking, and also his rights as a worker. That's what we give him all the training that we do here at the school. But it just takes a different person to stay out there and bear with this heat. Also, with the cold weather, the Chicago weather, there's some days that we shouldn't be out there, but we're still out there working. So we got to get that mindset to tell the young people that you are going to be getting paid good money on your check, and we have an outstanding benefit package. So they expect you to work hard. We understand that sometimes you're not 100%, and the day is hot or it's cold, but you still got to make production. So it takes somebody that's got a good work ethic. It takes somebody that is not going to be late, somebody that's not going to be absent, and somebody that's got a pep to their step, and some common sense. They want people that are teachable. They want people that don't have attitudes. They don't want people that are bringing their home problems to work. They just want somebody to show up and work hard, and then learn, and they don't have to teach them every single day the same thing. So, and that's exactly what we do here in our pre-apprenticeship class. And sometimes we have to get not rid of people, but we have to tell people that they have to work on certain things in order to rejoin our pre-apprenticeship, because they just are not going to cut it once they get out in the field. So we give them like a 2-week trial to kind of hang in there with the rest of the class, and that involves, again, like material handling and exercise. And if we see that they're still struggling after 2 or 3 weeks, and they're taking twice as long as somebody else to do something, then we have a talk with them, and we tell them that they can come back in a year, either get physically fit in that year, or work on your math skills, work on different things that you're going to be able to stay with the rest of the class. But I can't emphasize enough the work ethic. The work ethic is huge, because these young people nowadays, they come into the apprenticeship dragging their feet. I literally have to teach them how to walk and talk like a construction person, to have a loud voice, to be clear, look somebody in the eye, and stay moving all day. You got to stay moving. And most of the kids that come through here, they really catch on, and they go along with how we teach. And also what we do here is once apprentices go out, they come back as first year's apprentice or second year, third years. So once in a while, I like to bring my old PA class and have that class talk to the new PA class. And then just to tell them that everything that we teach here is 100% true, that we help out. What we do here is just to make them a better carpenter, to stay working, because that's key. You gotta to be a good carpenter, you gotta stay working. And in order to stay working, you gotta have the skills and the attitude and the work ethic.
Excuse me, Maurice, may I ask a question?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, again, to everybody on the call, sorry for being late. Did I hear correctly that applications are being delayed due to COVID, and that late spring or next spring, maybe summertime, will be the next enrollment cycle? Is that okay? Disabuse me if I'm incorrect. I was late.
Yeah, no problem. They were asking us to guess, and that is a guess. I'm guessing it may be late spring or early summer when we start accepting applications. And it's based on 3 things. There is a slowdown because of the COVID. It's based on how much work is out there, and it's based on getting through the people who have already applied and are waiting to start classes. So we're going to get everybody who applied the last time we were open for applications, get them into a pre-apprentice class, and get them through that before we open up again. So the same thing is true when we do open up for applications. Everybody who applies and is accepted into our program, they're not going to be removed from the list in 2 years, say, because we're going to take applications again. We are going to make sure that everybody who's accepted into our program is given the opportunity to start a class before we open up for applications again. That's how we work. And I just wanted to add a couple of things to what Victor was saying about what makes a good candidate. And that is that there are some barriers to being successful in the trades, and particularly people of color, and certainly for women. One is a vehicle. Right? That is one of the hardest things. Carpenters cover 10 counties, and a lot of our contractors have work downtown, sure, and they have work in the city limits. And a lot of those jobs you might be able to get to by 7, or sometimes in the summertime, 6 o'clock in the morning. But most of our contractors bid jobs all over our 10 counties. And they tend to want to keep people who they can send from job site to job site, and they don't have to, know this person does not have a car and they can't drive to here, that sort of thing. So for most of the trades, a car is one of those things that it's really hard to be successful in the trade if you don't have a vehicle. The second one, Victor was mentioning about not being tardy and not being absent. A big deal is if they have enough support services to support their families, because we do talk to our apprentices about this, but you have to almost plan your life around being able to get to work. And if you don't have support, that's really difficult to do. If you have children or elderly parents that you're taking care of, we constantly run into that, not only with our women, but we have a lot of single parents who are men who have difficulties. So there's just not a lot of wiggle room in construction for missing days at work. And so we try to get our apprentices to gather around their support systems to make sure that they are working toward that vehicle, which is just, you could probably get a vehicle if you have one long extended, job that you've got constant pay on. You can, get that first vehicle then. But if they don't have that as a goal, as one of their number one things, it's going to be tough for them to even make it through our apprenticeship, much less, extend their career.
And define the career, the extended career. After the 9 weeks, what happens next? And I probably missed it. I'm sorry once again.
Yes, so after the 9 weeks, our pre-apprentices are automatically indentured into our 4-year apprentice program. They get credit for the 9 weeks that they spent in PA. But once you get into the apprentice program, then you're eligible to go out and work as a carpenter. That doesn't mean everybody's going to go out to work right away. Our instructors rank the pre-apprentices based on attendance, their work ethic, and how quickly they catch on to things. And we send the top ranking students out first, and then we just send them out to jobs after that. So what happens is our apprentices generally work for 1 quarter, approximately 3 months, and are scheduled to come to school for 1 week. So they take a week off of work, and then they go back out and work for 3 months and come to school for a week. And they do that throughout their 4 years of apprenticeship. They must obtain so many work hours in order to advance the 2nd year, but they must also complete so many classes here at our Elk Grove facility to advance the 2nd year. So that's their career as an apprentice. They can go straight through 4 years as an apprentice and then graduate to become a journeyman, in which case they take classes when they want to. They take classes. We're open to training evenings and weekends for our journeymen and our apprentices, after working on weekends.
I want to open up the floor to anyone else who has questions, because I'm sure somebody else has a question.
They're continuing the steps in the validation process.
No one has a question? Ms. Herman? Who was this person?
So they're starting with their,
Mr. Turner?
No, I don't have any questions.
from that, and then they're figuring out the method they want to use to validate their hypothesis.
All right. So with that said, if anybody has any additional questions, this video will actually, and Shelly, don't worry about being late. You literally came on like literally 2 minutes after we started. So you're all good.
I'm a stickler for time. So.
I hear you. So
I have one other thing that I wanted to add before we
please
end this.
Go ahead.
Okay. There is a second way to get into our apprenticeship. If your organization or any of the organizations you're working with have a relationship with a union contractor, contractors can sponsor people directly into our program with an intent to hire letter. I mentioned at the beginning that is not the only way to get into our program, but that is a way. It bypasses the pre-apprentice program, but they have to have that job or that intent to hire letter with a contractor first. So if you have that relationship and they're willing to hire graduates of your program, 1 or 2, and put them to work here or there, they can speed up their entry into our apprenticeship. We accept people into the apprenticeship all year long with intent to hire letters. So you don't have to wait that open application period.
Just so I'm clear, what you're saying is, say, Lakeside Alliance, we have a relationship with obviously Brown Moment, Safeway, so on and so forth. And if, say, Safeway Construction or Ujama writes that intent to hire letter, they'll be expedited into the process.
Yes, so expedited means there are certain requirements that they must fulfill before they sign an indenture agreement and become an apprentice.
Of course.
But the biggest barrier really is getting that first job. And if Brown and Moman or JAMA was willing to write that intent to hire letter, that takes away one of those barriers. We would get them in to complete some safety classes. They still have to pass our drug test. They still.
Oh, I muted you by accident. *6.
It's okay. I do that to her sometimes too. Don't feel bad.
Can you hear me? Oh.
Yeah, Kenny, I apologize. I did that. I'm sorry.
So
But I do it on
he wishes he could mute me more, but there you go.
No, you
Thank
just
you for
left
that
off it.
last piece of information too, because that's exactly what I would like to be able to fast track the process, especially with all things considered with COVID and the fact that our constituencies, they actually go to they are certified in safety, health and safety classes already. So we have
Yeah, that might not float though.
I'm
We
sorry.
don't accept everybody's. Like for instance, a lot of organizations do the 10-hour OSHA. We require the 30-hour OSHA. So they would, even if they did the 10-hour with you, they would have to do our 30-hour OSHA.
What about lockout, tag out?
That comes under our 30-hour OSHA.
Okay,
and
and
they also would have to complete. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I was gonna say, yeah, we have like 11 industry recognized certifications that they acquire.
Okay, then I can just tell you the 3 that we require before, and we
Okay.
do accept some outside, but not all. So we require OSHA 30 construction, fall protection, and hazard communication. Those are the 3 safety classes that all of our apprentices have to complete before they're indentured into our program.
Can you repeat that? OSHA 30, fall protection and hazard communication?
Yeah, the construction OSHA 30, not general industry, but construction OSHA 30, fall protection, and hazard communication.
That's so helpful. Thank you.
Yes, and before you institute those safety classes, if you want to get them cleared through our assistant director, he's the one who approves whether or not we'll accept an outside safety class. We can, get some information and, pass that along now so you'll know, and that doesn't mean obviously everybody you train is not coming into the Carpenters. So you can't have too much safety training, but for those who are coming in, they, again, a lot of our feeder organizations do a 10-hour OSHA, and we just don't accept that. They still have to do a 30-hour with us.
Yeah, we I want to do the 10-hour too,
Yeah.
And
Well,
who am I
everybody's
speaking
not
to?
coming into the Carpenters, so we do not want you to stop doing 10-hour OSHA. But just so you know, they would have to take the 30-hour with us if they came to us.
I understand. And who am I speaking to now?
My name is Keena McAfee. I'm one of the assistant coordinators here at the Carpenters Apprentice Program.
All right, nice to meet you.
Thank you.
I was going to ask you.
I have a question. If I was to take the OSHA or any of these certificates before I get there, would that help, or I would still have to take it again?
Again, they have to be, your OSHA class would have to be approved by our assistant director. Some people take a general industry, and that automatically excludes.
I understand that. I understand that it has to be construction related. So because I've been seeing stuff about construction related OSHA certificates online. So if I take it upon myself and take the test upon myself. Go ahead, because I'm trying to talk and you're trying to talk. So go ahead.
I'm sorry. We don't accept online OSHA either. We don't do online OSHA, and we don't accept outside online OSHAs either.
Thank you.
So, for instance, let me give you an example. We had a laborer who came from the laborers union. They had a 30-hour construction, and it was not online. It was, actually where you're physically there. We accepted that. We had a online OSHA from a school down in Florida. It was a college, and we did not accept that one. I don't make that determination. That's made by our assistant director. So if you wanted to clear and make sure that the OSHA, 30-hour OSHA you're taking would be accepted by us, I would do that before you take it if you were trying to come into our program.
Real quick, I just want to actually ask this too, because I was talking to some people in the city, and based on COVID numbers and the likelihood that it'll go down in the wintertime, would you all change your entry process and COVID process in the event that what's the word I'm looking for? Actually open back up in the city?
I have not heard that was even likely to happen this winter. We are bracing for another year of this. Obviously, we're changing and going with the flow. As we hear information, we are taking the advice of, all of the professionals, the CDC and so forth and so on. So like we add and take off states that people have traveled to as to exclude them from coming to class. So as they're added to the red list in Chicago, we won't accept anybody who's been to that state in a class, that sort of thing. So we're going with the flow, but we are anticipating this lasting another year.
Yeah, that's not fun. I'm cool. Yeah, I can't do COVID for another year. Only like my wife so much.
I hear you. I'm wearing my mask. I'm doing my
Don't get in trouble.
Is she over there too? So thank you. I really appreciate this, and I want to encourage everyone to actually not only pay attention to what just happened in the conversation, but to also inquire more from the Carpenters, as well as even come into our pipe fitters, local 597 information session next week. They have a ton of information, and actually Adam, who runs that program, is I want to say he's getting ready to open up as well. I know the electricians are opening up in January, but I'm sure Adam is opening up as well. So if you all don't have any questions, thank you, Ms. Herman, for being on the line, and everyone else for being on the line as well. I'm just going to ask one more time. Is there any questions?
I just want to make sure, Maurice, that you continue to put me on the distribution, please.
Absolutely. That's easy. I got you.
Okay.
I got you.
Well, thank you very much for inviting us.
No, thank you. I really appreciate everything that you guys had to say. And thank you, Sonia, for actually coming into this meeting. Didn't expect you to come in. So with that said, again, I appreciate you all. I really do.